Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So this is a bit of a different video, and I was sort of into this game when it first came out, though we're going to go through a bit of the dumpster fire that this situation turned into. But anyway, so for anyone who doesn't know what this game is, Wolcen is a game that came out selling on the concept of being a Crytek engine game, right? Which at the time was really cool. This was like 4 or 5 years ago, and we'll sort of dig into this a little bit. But basically, it was a really cool looking game, had a lot of cool concepts, had some really interesting design choices, but ultimately, in the first week of it coming out, it just did not do well as far as server infrastructure, and to this day is an incomplete game. And we'll talk about why it's even more ridiculous that this game sort of has been pulled at this stage. But a post was released yesterday which basically reads to the future of Wolcen, okay? Thank you for your unwavering support and patience. It's been a while since our last update. So these guys, the developers, haven't spoken to the community for some time. There's an expansion that came out maybe about a year and a bit ago, and I played through it. It was pretty lackluster, and it had some really weird endgame where the storyline was gated by like playing semi-endgame components because it had like the city building thing, but we'll talk about that briefly in this video too. And they say, we apologize for the silence. Pardon me. However, we have made the decision that required careful reflection and time to essentially, basically what they're saying, cease the operations of the game. We thank you for your unwavering support and dedication. We are fully aware of the challenges that have emerged from the early technical decisions regarding the game's architecture. This is mainly because the engine they used was absolutely horrible. And the challenges that are insurmountable without a complete technology overhaul. Basically, they would have to change the whole engine, and that's not going to happen yet. We have diligently updated Wolcen, enhancing every facet of the game, from introducing new chapters. There was only like, I think, 2 new chapters and this like a Rise expansion sort of thing that was to overhaul minions, and it still didn't go down very well. And then they released it on console. And items improving UI, animations, and meticulous balancing of skills. This is not very true. When the game first shipped, there were elements of the game where, to put into perspective, there was a particular skill where a like percentage modifier was like in the hundreds of percent additional damage versus like tens of percent additional damage from memory. It was really bad, and basically it got exploited to the living daylights until they changed. They actually had numerical errors in the actual percentages on the skill setups in the game. It was horrific. Like, it just, yeah, it was part of the reason why a lot of the player base dropped out. But so they're saying they they balanced skills, items, gameplay alongside technical enhancements. On console, from what I've read, the game was a absolute mess and completely unplayable. Despite these efforts and the team's dedication behind our patches, we've encountered foundational hurdles that prevent further development under the existing framework. Basically, the engine be busted and they can't go any further, and they're not keen to do anything with it because there was only like, I think, a player base of 100 players at any point in time. At any one point in time, the game is just straight up dead. It is with a heavy heart that we announce a significant change starting from September 3, 2024. Wolcen will no longer support multiplayer functionality, so they're shutting down the servers. Additionally, we will cease further development and support for the game. So what's crazy is they say like this is a significant change as opposed to we're just canning the whole game. Like, there'll be no fixes to this. We're going to hand it to a modders community. We're walking away. We're shutting down the servers and calling it a day. They also go, we are committed to excellence and driven to create new experiences and adventures that we hope you will be eager to join. This is just business corpo speak. This means absolutely nothing. This is like PR speak 101, trying to use emotive language to downplay the fact that you've basically just taken everybody's money. And I think they had like 100 and something thousand players. We'll look at the numbers very shortly on release. So basically, yeah, we've taken your money. We've got a few years out of this. And this game wasn't cheap. I think it was like $50 on release. It was very expensive. And so they further on sort of right here, we want to assure you that Wolcen will still be available to play in single player mode and to purchase at a new permanently reduced price. Why would anyone buy this? Like, it's a dead game. You wouldn't buy it, and it has no player base to it anyway, and they know it. That's why they've done this. Your feedback has always been invaluable. That's not true. I think in the start of like when the game first came out, they had all these problems with the servers. They were releasing one patch per week on launch. It was absolutely horrific. So this is a very disingenuous statement, in my opinion. And it will continue, to guide the development of our future projects. Can you trust this dev after this game? That's a great question. Personally, I would never buy another game off this particular dev. We've learned a lot from developing and supporting Wolcen, but more than that, we have learned a lot from you, and we are internally preparing to make sure lessons have been learnt, and we will be ready to have a stronger connection with all of you and our community. Thank you for your continued support. We're excited about the future and cannot wait to embark on these new journeys with you, setting new standards for what we can achieve together. A lot of this is just downplaying the fact that they charged a very premium price for this game. And I'll put this up on the thingo here. They charged a very premium price for this game. They made a lot of promises. They didn't deliver on pretty much any of them. The community walked away because they didn't respond. They weren't prepared for launch. They should have just extended the game out, actually did QA and tested it. Granted, they're a smaller studio, completely unacceptable. They actually had early access for quite a number of years. So this was just inexcusable. They were happy to take money early on and basically just, walk away when we get to this point. The most disingenuous thing about this is they only released the console iteration of the game no more than a year ago, and they would have actively known exactly what they were doing within 12-month span from a planning standpoint. And maybe they had planned that console was going to pick it up, but from what I've read so far, the general consensus across the user base is that it's an unworkable game on console. And you read through these comments here, they're basically just savage as hell. It's hard to cease support when you never really started. It's not an inappropriate comment to make. It's not factually incorrect. Horrible company. This is what this comment's saying. I'm not making that comment. Turning off multiplayer is total BS. Like, I agree. It's just is what it is. Campaign wasn't finished and no land modes. True, they never finished the chapters of the campaign, so it's a dead in the waters story, so that even playing the single player is going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. Many other better games out there. A lot of people have pulled support for the studio. I'd be very surprised if this studio does subsist this as an outcome, but that'd be really interesting to see what happens. Yeah, a lot of people making memes. The game was broken. Like, the game was a cool concept, but it didn't have a real end game, and the initial end game they shipped with was overzealous, and that's the problem. This game didn't really know what it was when it came out, and this is just a cautionary tale of how not to develop a game. Anyway, I won't go into a crazy amount of content. This is only within 24 hours. These comments are pretty savage, not gonna lie. This is not a very good situation for this dev. Anyway, I thought I'd do a quick run through on this one because it popped up on my Twitter feed or X feed yesterday, and I just thought it was an interesting topic for those of you who are, big ARPG fans like me. I was going to go into a more deeper dive into this sort of, the launch or whatnot, and if you guys want me to do that, I've sort of pulled everything to one side and I'm ready and prepared to put a video like that together. But I also don't think that this game should spend too much time renting space in all of our heads, especially off the back of all the POE 2 stuff that's starting to come out again and kick up again. And, hopefully we get some league announcements not too far away. Anyway, I'll leave you guys with that. And don't forget to like and sub to the channel. Don't forget to follow the Twitch. I'm going to be on there in like 2 hours. And anyway, I'll see you guys next time and have a good one.